Right, here we go. Pin back your luggles and get ready for a barrage of information, knowledge and understanding, which is been long overdue. And this whole series has threw off a raft of names of organisations and groups that are all involved in this dark force worship of death and destruction. Many of these names started out with good intentions, but have been corrupted so badly now, we need to start again, going forward, with better choices of what we do and also what we follow. Here are a list of some of the names operating under this banner. Ra, Kali Ma, Lilith, Rahu, Ketu, Hinduism, Buddhism, Tibet and the Dalai Lama, Mithras, Communism, Socialism, Kabbalism, Zionism, Democrat, Capitalism, Koshis, Kosher, Egyptology, Pharaohs, Lords, Reptilians, Draco, Serpents, CIA, P2 Lodge, Five Eyes, KGB, Mossad, GCHQ, OSS, Solomon, Melchizedek, Jewish, Hebrew, Houses of Europe, Greece, Rome, Catholic Church, Mormons, Amish, Cabal, Illuminati, Bloodline Families, Sisterhood of the Rose, the Scarlet Sisterhood, the Order, Dragon Groups, Zedo Masons, Freemasons, Scottish Rite, Paganism, Wiccan, World Government, Luciferians, Satanists, worshippers of Set, Vril or SSP, SS being the operative word. All of those names, and there are more, come under the banner of one group, which the rest of the show will cover in great detail. This is the Dark Force Cult. The above with the umbrella underneath of it, of which all the aforementioned names operate under, whether knowingly or not. All are connected to this one group. It is the central hub, carefully hidden and darkness personified. That group is under the title Memento Mori, which means remember you must die. Ironic, given these dark forces have done everything to gain immortality. Recently we did an intel piece and I said I would reveal in this show who were removed. Several thousand, near 750,000 of a certain group on this planet were deleted permanently that week following a request to the council which was agreed upon. Suffice to say, the world is better off without them. Utter hybrids. Very few of them it was found to be human. All were removed, a number totalling 768,000. This group is known as the Order of the Black Sun. This is their philosophy and their manifesto. I guess that song has a complete different meaning now. You will see why. This is part of the manifesto of the Order of the Black Sun, and I will be interjecting in between the script of what they believe in, and their delusion and illusion and their tricks. The dark side disciple should keep certain symbols at hand: the black suns, the skulls, black robes, etc., as reminders that he will die. Indeed, these symbols are a reminder that everything in existence, ourselves, our friends, families, tribes, races, our civilizations, species, our planet, our sun, our galaxy, our entire universe, is doomed to destruction. This is what these people think. As the ancient Chinese sages said, when asked for a saying that is true in all times and places, this too shall pass. Nothing in this world is eternal. The fate of everything is darkness. Nothing can escape its destiny in the void of the black sun. Unlike the modern light-sider who lives in denial and mortal fear of this reality, the dark-sider embraces it, takes dark inspiration from it, reminds himself of it often, and pays tribute to it by his devotion to symbols of death, such as the black sun. Thus do we revive the ancient tradition of memento mori, the practice of keeping death imagery at hand as a reminder of our mortality, common since ancient times but forgotten in the modern age. We use these symbols not simply as gloomy reminders, but to glorify the power of death, universal destruction, and ourselves as dead men walking under the black sun. We also use them as a challenge to ourselves to always strive to achieve immortality and defeat death before it defeats us. The key in that is the term dead men walking. That is giving you a heads up to the dark infested spirit world that we covered in the last show and several others. The world is dying, they say. The world is dying.
Well, you're all going to die.
The first terrible truth of our creed is the understanding that a formed world is dying and is indeed doomed. To the materialistic modern mind, steeped in white sunnite notions like progress and saving the world, this may be the most terrifying truth of all. But it's not always been so. In many metaphysical traditions throughout history, there has been a belief in an apocalypse or an end of days. A moment when humanity perishes, the world is destroyed, the gods die, time itself comes to an end, and the universe is abolished. Yes, all as promoted by disciples of this cult, known as the prophets. They were not prophecies they brought forward. They were trying to bring forth, by word spell magic, their plans, not prophecies. Big difference. And this is describing the Armageddon they speak of, whereby only one group of people are saved, the Hebrew people, the chosen ones. On Judgment Day, their folly will all be laid to bear. Having passed over their karma onto all the other peoples around the world, their day of atonement, it will all come home to roost. This idea is a manifestation of Black Sun consciousness, which has recurred in such forms as the biblical book of Revelation, the Islamic Day of Judgment, the Norse Ragnarok, the Hindu Shiva dance, and the Aztec fifth sun. Even modern science now posits that the cosmos is dissolving and will eventually go dark and return to the void. But except modern science is wrapped into this cult also. Don't go along with their belief. You get no more grants. That's how it works. This piece also shows how they invaded and infested every culture and tribal group. The first written testament of the philosophy, symbology, sorcery and ideology of Kamud Dun, the Shadow Path, the foundational book of Borzum Ghazal, Order of the Black Sun, which encompasses all others' orders and ideologies propagated previously by the Dark Lords. So what they are telling you here, they are the umbrella for all the other organisations operating under this cult of darkness. This book documents the manifestations of the Black Sun's power in our thoughts, our lives and the world at large. It is a written first testament, that word again, of the philosophy, symbology, sorcery and ideology of the Kamud Dun, Kamud-Dun, as conceived and practiced at our Black Sanctum. As the founders of this order, we record these thoughts so others may know why it came into existence and what its terrible truths consist of. We offer this book not as idle philosophy or mysticism, but as a call to re-examine reality and your place within it. It comes from the endarkened minds who have had close encounters with the Black Sun power and returned as darker, stranger beings with a message for others. For we have walked under the shadow for many years and wish to convey some of what we've learned to those who would follow in our footsteps. You're not supposed to walk under or ignore your shadow sides, but integrate them. No integration is the path of the dark. That's how they play. In the world of shadow-blind sleepers, may this book awaken a chosen few, open their third eyes to the Black Sun, and bring them under its shadow. The shadow work and the inner work, some in the alt media have stated, wasn't necessary. What this is stating is, those that don't integrate their shadows become more and more susceptible to the dark. Oops. May it inspire them to join the ranks of our invisible empire and leave behind the white sunlit world of illusions forever. May the Black Sun burn a hole in your mind as it has ours, giving you the eyes to see a new path and a strength to walk it onwards forever into the infinite darkness. Borzum, Rak Am Chod. Black Sun power to you. One empire, one brotherhood. Black Sunites are a loose brotherhood of sects, cells and clans known as circles. The clans again, spelt with a K. Circles are the covens, each of which maintains its independence but agrees to share its knowledge, resources and give assistance to members of allied circles. Collectively, these circles form a secret society that takes the Black Sun as its source and gives its allegiance to the Black Sun Empire. Circles that wish to enter into the Black Sunite society must take the Gumuk Gromat Unity Oath to signify their allegiance to the Order of the Black Sun. In the Black tongue of Borgal, this oath reads, Kum Karzath Gum Ghazal, one empire, one brotherhood. Every circle that belongs to our brotherhood should display this oath in their sanctum. Written vertically in our Hazad script, it looks like this. By this unity oath, every band of Black Sunnites and every territory they control are united in a larger brotherhood and empire. The circle leader, Dread Nightstalker, paints the One Empire, One Brotherhood slogan on a canvas for his sanctum wall. I ask Holly and Lee to post those pictures now. This is their canvas. As you may see, it's the Black Sun emblem. Next piece is called the Elite Initiation. The Order seeks to initiate the elites of white Sunnite society into Black Sunnism rather than recruit the masses. This is not only more discreet, it gains us powerful agents who can advance our interests from within the houses being the operative word, of our metaphysical opposition. And essentially, this is no different to what they've just said there to the black Indians, not the current Indians, the black ones, under the Kalimar 5,000 to 7,000 years ago, who were imbued with voodoo and being told to mix with the white race to enhance their voodoo magic powers. Same thing. The targeting of such elites is one of the dark arts of the advanced Black Sunnite, who is trained in many methods of personal persuasion, seduction and manipulation to advance our cause. Once an elite target has been fully exposed to our initiation process, he should give his allegiance fully to the Order and abandon any vestigial loyalties to his old ideals. This is the seducement program that we've been speaking about in our shows. Too many fell for it via wealth, fame, and or titles of self-importance, all of which are an illusion. Thus we pursue the Illuminati methodology: subversion from above, establishment of powerful cabals that operate outside the reach of the ruling system. While exercising leverage over it, these cabals can then subtly promote the agenda of the Shadow Council while sabotaging white Sunnite initiatives from within. In extreme cases, they may be called upon to incite wars and revolutions, crash economies, or stage false flag events to destabilize white Sunnite regimes. Secrecy. The founders designed the Order to be a secretive, discreet cult rather than a publicity-seeking cultural movement. Precisely to avoid problems with white Sunnite backlash, our creed is not for everyone and doesn't need to be known or followed by the all. We do not subscribe to the ideals of openness, universalism and egalitarianism espoused by white Sunnites, and do not use their methods. Black Sunnites meet, communicate, train and operate discreetly. We transmit our dark truths to those who are worthy of them and leave the rest to sleep in their white Sunnite dream world. Here is a saying that summarizes our viewpoint on this matter. Black Sunnites are the hidden followers of the dark truths, not the open propagators of white lies. Black Sunnites are sometimes called Vragam Borshagos, hidden dark truthers, for this reason. In a black sun-dominated universe, ruled by hostile forces and threatened by white sunite crusades, hidden is how we must be and shall remain. The next chapter is Seeing the Shadow World. Becoming a black sun seer, Borzum Gerzat, means learning to unsee the light of the white sun that blinds most beings to the existence of the formless shadow world, for the white sunlight only illuminates forms, chants, those objects, ideas, words and social constructs that we can conceive of, speak about and interact with. We say that the white sun is the source, Tozg, T-O-Z-G, which fills our minds with models of the world, our mundane sensory awareness, theories, philosophies, ideologies, religions, language and cultures. To the white sunite, these constructs are all that one should be concerned about. Anything outside of the white sunlit world is illusory, delusional, insignificant or evil. This is what I've been speaking about in the shows when I say people must see with quotation marks. All of us can see with the right application, not just the dark. Seeing with no quotation marks is not believing, as they have told you. Seeing with quotation marks is seeing the shadow world. To the white sunite, the map is the territory outside of which he has no interest in venturing. To the black sunite, this situation is inverted. The map is not the extent of our world, but a placid island of ignorance in the midst of black seas of infinity, which is a phrase from H.P. Lovecraft's book, another one of their people. It is the black seas beyond the borders of the map that are of interest, and towards which the black sunite seeker sets sail. And it is the white sunlit forms which are illusory, delusional, insignificant or evil, signifying as they do only the extent of our mental limitations and cultural conditioning. What this is telling you is the map is the boundary. It's not that is the illusion. Those that stay in the map are boxing themselves in. Open the box and walk through the doors. To discover a greater reality, the black sunite looks into the shadows of the white sunlit world and of his own mind. See. Here we are speaking about the metaphysical concept of Vorthul's two worlds. The white sunlit formed world of Malzam Agam Thul, white lit world, and the unlit formless realm of Kamud Thul, shadow world. You see, they're recognizing the two worlds. They think they're the only ones who can see both. Their arrogance was their downfall. The white sunlit world is where almost all beings spend almost all of their time. The shadow world is where only a few mystics, magicians, madmen and prophets dare to venture. But this dichotomy of the two worlds is an ancient metaphysical idea that appears in many traditions. Below are some of the other descriptions of the two worlds from other traditions that show how universal this idea is. Castaneda's Tonal and Nagual, Plato's cave and the world outside the cave, Hinduism's Vyaktam and Avyaktam, Schopenhauer's world as representation and will, Buddhism's Teizokai, womb world, and Kongokai, diamond realm, Kabbalism's Or, divine light, and Ein Sof, the infinite, Gödel's provable and unprovable theorems of mathematical logic, Taoism's 10,000 Things and the Tao, Kenneth Grant's Universe A and Universe B, Huxley's Ordinary Mind and the Mind at Large, Islam's Seen and Unseen Worlds, and Shamanism's World and Other World, and Kant's Phenomenon and Noumenon, Lovecraft's Placid Island of Ignorance and the Black Seas of Infinity, quantum physics observables, and the wave function. Our notion of two worlds is thus in general agreement with many other traditions and is not particularly radical or strange. What is radical and strange are the dominant ideologies of this age of enlightenment, which posit a world that is only knowable through reason, language and sensory input, and which depreciate or deny the existence and power of any other world. Interesting, they use the term enlightenment. Like everything else, they work both sides. Like war, boogeyman and saviour, yin and yang, they are both and all, or were. That dominance is waning fast now. It is this persuasive delusion that the black sun seer must see through, but to do so requires a great deal of unlearning and unseeing, for the mental constructs most of us have been conditioned with in this culture are designed to draw your attention only to the white sunlit world, leaving us totally blind to the existence of the shadow world. And this is why the perception of the shadow world usually comes as such a shock and feels like such a cataclysm. It renders a part or conditioned in a landscape like an unidentified mental object and an intrusion from an alien world that threatens to destroy our own. Really. Telling you there and then. Except we are the aliens. They think they own everything. That's why when you move to another country and you don't have papers, illegal alien. It's all in the words. It is this perception that we symbolize by the black sun, a portal into an incomprehensible outer dimension that we didn't previously suspect existed, suddenly opening before us, threatening to devour our inner space like a black hole devours outer space. What these clowns don't know is the other side of a black hole is a white hole into a different time-space. This is their arrogance. And this is what science calls the Big Bang. It's not a Big Bang at all, but an infusion of light, particles and matter infused into and onto a new canvas. Imagination does the rest. This perception is what the initiated black sun seer signifies by putting a black spot on the forehead between his eyes. Oops. Marking him as one of those rare beings who has opened his third eye, Zawat Goral, to the existence of the shadow world and now walks under the black sun. And which culture replicates the dark spot on the forehead? We're back to From Russia with Love 1 again. India. And they have no idea what they are inferring. It's the mark of the beast. Borgal, which means black tongue, is the magical language used by the Dark Lord's order to invoke force into themselves and command the external world. With this language, our order shall rename all things in this world, thus imposing our thought forms upon it and thereby conquering it. Told you, didn't I? Told her. That's where all the name changes come from. We've covered in several shows mistranslations and changes in vowels, replacing the C with a K, and changing other words, letters like word, W-O-R-D, to W-Y-R-D. Like I said, we've covered that extensively in this series. We'll have more on Thursday. So that'll tip you upside down on Thursday as well. There's a plethora of them. Borgal should be our secret tongue, used to identify other members of our kind and separate ourselves from the light-siders and the mundanes of this world. Those who choose to learn Borgal are a self-selecting elite, founders of a new cult, heralds of a new order, and propagators of a new magical, spelt with a CK, regime. This is a nod to their secret handshakes, hand signs, and yes, you, Mr. Spock, with your Hebrew Kabbalah mind control systems and symbols, bizarre rituals in the Freemasonic order, and code. That's what they're talking about with the black tongue, Borgal. The words and concepts contained herein should be studied and mastered by using them in conversation with other black Sunites, reciting the sayings and mantras described in this book and others you create, and writing in the Harzad script, H-A-R-Z-A-D, known as the script of the gatekeepers, called Harzad, around the perimeter, invoking the name of the Lord of this world. This symbol is used in the gatekeeper's inner sanctum to summon the devil himself. Didn't we use the term gatekeepers in the intel last week? One of their paths to destruction is void meditation. And as just mentioned in the previous sentence, chanting mantras. Still feel those internet mass meditations reciting mantras is a good idea? As for the 144,000, that is another Jewish Hebrew terminology, and the Bible defines it as a special seal binding for the 144,000, 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes of Israel, who lead the reunification of Israel in the last days, the Armageddon again. So what is this seal? Well, Revelation 14 1 tells us it is in the forehead of the 144,000. Oops. And it is the name Yahweh written on their forehead. Oh dear. So where we just heard the mark on the forehead. This perception is what the initiated black sunseer signifies by putting a black spot on his forehead between his eyes, just like the Indian people following the Kali Ma and the Dark Lord Shiva and Vishnu. Is it Cobra with a C or Cobra with a K? Cobra with a K was a dark Indian cult. At this point, I'm not suggesting Cobra is dark. But should you choose to continue his moon goddesses meditation with mantras, 144,000 Yahweh followers once known the facts, then people have a choice to make themselves. Either way, it doesn't look good or augur well for those following these dark occult practices. Ignorance now is a choice. Mass meditation, chanting mantras while opening the third eye, which is a portal, and following their scriptures of the 144,000 dark demons is a recipe for disaster and is actually feeding the energy to the order of the Black Sun. It's all in the script. And I'm sorry if that upsets people, but we have had enough of their hidden dark agendas and being duped as working for the light, but actually we are enhancing the dark by our own ignorance. Oops. Next section, the Dark Lords. All lords are dark. That's why they lord over you. The Dark Lords are the leaders of an intergalactic order of black magicians dedicated to establishing the evil empire in our time. In their many books, they explore the implications of a universe ruled by the dark force, Diaboli, and the Black Sun. But the individual seeker cults of the dark side and civilization as a whole, from their black temple, they are unlocking the secrets of magic, spelt with a CK again, and masterminding a new order. New world order. A new age. Interesting terminology. And a new regime of power, merging metaphysical currents such as Sithism, Satanism, Black Sunism, Diabolism, and Dark Taoism. They are bringing all the dark side sects onto this planet under the shadow of their black magicrosy. In this age of endarkment, let the Dark Lords be your guides beneath the Black Sun, beyond the 9th gate, and into the depths of your own shadow mind. As they say in their black tongue, Thul Ash Ernuk, the world is ours. You thought wrong. You thought wrong. You will reside in your dark shadow world with all the ignorant and the bots of this world. And we will reside in the higher frequency plane of this world. And eventually immigration will be from your world into ours. And quite frankly, you can stick your dark sunlit world right where you talk out of, your asses. The Lords. Oh dear. Riddled throughout the religious books in all cultures, all were dark, but the people sought external idols, not internal, and have paid a heavy price. The intergalactic order of black magicians are the Koshis, mentioned in From Russia with Love 1 and 2. Koshi became kosher in physical manifestation. Dawn of the Black Sun, a first revelation. Dark Lord Karzathor first began to perceive the Black Sun strongly sometime in 2010 of the old calendar, more than a year before the declaration of the Imperial Year 1, 2 years before 12/21/12, and 7 years before the Black Sunrise event. That Black Sunrise event was the solar eclipse in America in August 2017. And this is why certain people were drawn to attend that event, some to harness its power, others to counteract it. The latter prevailed. At that time he began to write a series of essays to express the dark sense of inspiration that his newfound awareness has stirred in his soul and put him on the Black Sun path. This was part of his first essay. A great darkness is falling over mankind, for the shadow of the Black Sun is dawning anew upon the world. The age we are entering is going to shatter the minds of all believers in religions of progress and benevolent gods. Yet for those who are forward-thinking reactionaries who can adapt to a transformed world, it will be an age of unprecedented opportunity. To survive and thrive in the new dark age, you will first need to decondition yourself from a lifetime of cultural programming, which has implanted insidious memes like progress, justice, equality and liberty deep within your mind. Those are the memes of another age, born of a brief orgy of fossil-fueled indulgence and progressive hubris that has no future. I guess they're stupid as well as arrogant, as it's not fossil fuels, dipshits. In the aeon of the Black Sun, you must relearn the hard wisdom of your ancestors and the answer to the riddle of steel. Like Conan the Barbarian, you must reclaim your right to be sinister and to take what you want by right of conquest and superior will. For in the Black Sun aeon, the weak of will shall perish and the meek shall simply die. In the Black Sun aeon, there will be no valid governing principle save superior power. In the Black Sun aeon, there will be no universal brotherhood of man, only warring races, tribes, nations and orders without end. That aeon ended in 2012, whether they like that or not. Their timeline is over. And more now are being exposed and exposing themselves. Their dark mirror magic is failing, and their hidden masks are peeling off and being exposed to the light. Like cockroaches, they don't like the light. And why it is important you all shine your light like beacons. For a bittersweet taste of the new dark age, watch the original Conan movie and read the works of the Black Sun visionary Robert E. Howard. Here was a man who understood the dark and timeless truths of human nature and brought them viscerally to life to the delight of denizens of our ever so ignorant age of enlightenment. When the shadow of the black sun falls, everything you've been conditioned to believe about man, civilization and the cosmos by religious and philosophers of the light will be revealed as pure fabrication. The inversion mirror tactic they use so well, accusing others of doing what they did, and you'll see it repeatedly in their narrative, making out the religions and the philosophers are of light. No, they're all controlled by them. Modern man will be forced to relearn what ancient people never forgot, that nature, including man, is cruel, capricious, diabolical and adversarial. And at its core, yes, I agree. But this group and all the other names it goes by kind of stack the deck of bullshittery, violence and scarcity. And yes, we will relearn not their ways and false his story, but chart a path of a better world with our story. Theirs failed. Never forget that. Progress mongers who thought man had nurtured nature and turned the corner on the old evils forever will find themselves psychically defenceless and morally bankrupt in the new dark age. By the same token, those who have been marginalised today by white sun civilization gatekeepers, the myriad militants, extremists, fanatics and cultists whose voice are becoming a cacophony too shrill to ignore, will find in the fall of the shadow their finest hour. As you can see, they were lied to also. You have reigned in the dark period for the last 1,000 years. The night of the Svarog. In fact, most of the last 13, if not 78,000 years, you reigned. And still failed to take us and prosper. We never gave up. You just became arrogant. That is and was your downfall. Along with believing all the Dark Order lies spread out over the centuries. As a poet once said in a rather different context, the first one now will later be last, for the times they are a-changing. If you speak this way to true believers stuck in the old aeon, you will be dismissed as a madman, a deranged misanthrope in the mould of Nietzsche, Lovecraft or Hitler. But in reality such men were dark prophets with more insight into the human condition than any Abrahamic holy man. Now that doom is at our doorstep and the shadow looms over us all, their revelations are as religion for a new and darkened age. The Abrahamic cult was another one of their creations. Sleight of hand, you see. So let's sing to the prophets of darkness, the dark universe itself and the dark places within our souls, as the world is once again eclipsed by shadow and the black sun armies march as in the days of old. An age of peace and progress has ended, an age of war and survival has begun. May you have good fighting and good fortune in the aeon of the black sun. The age of peace and progress ended. These people are delusional. We have been in the age of war and survival under the zodiac of Ophiuchus. That period is ending, and a new one will emerge. None so blind than those who not only can't see, but won't see. Delusions of grandeur, self-importance has run rancid through these dark forces vessels, like a virus in a petri dish. The next portion, it discusses the principles, morals, morals, or lack of, and guidelines these dark forces operate by, called the 9 Maxims of Bosim Dun. The Black Sun Path form the basic creed of all Black Sunites. They are the guiding principles that every member of the order should internalize and live by. We discussed the first 3 maxims. 1. Remember that this world and everything in it will die. 2. Know that nothing is true and everything is permitted. 3. Seek unlimited power and conquest. Maxim 1. Memento Mori. The Black Sun is a memento mori, a reminder that we will die. Indeed, it is a reminder that everything will die, doomed to destruction. And some people in our group accuse this show of being negative. Dear me. Death is a rebirth, a new beginning, not the end. That is the remit of these dark forces and their houses of religious programming known as churches, who have made the people fear death. Their programs. The fate of everything is darkness. Nothing can escape its destiny in the void of the Black Sun. Unlike the modern white Sunite who lives in denial and mortal fear for this reality, the Black Sunite embraces it and takes dark inspiration from it, reminds him of it often and pays tribute to it by his devotion to the Bosim symbol. Like this show has stated all along, everything has been inverted. Everybody is being lied to, including these delusional half-wits. Thus, do we revive the ancient tradition of the memento mori, the practice of keeping death imagery at hand, such as skulls, bones and graves, as a reminder of our mortality, which was common since ancient times but were forgotten in the modern age. I guess they forgot about one of their disciple groups called the Skull and Bones then. They clearly never forgot. We used the symbol of the Black Sun for a similar purpose, but a different slant than the white Sunites, to glorify the power of death, universal destruction, and ourselves walking as dead men under the Black Sun. Well, at least he got one thing right. Dead men walking. TikTok. Maxim 2. Nihilism. Philosophically, we are nihilists. We believe that all moral philosophies are a collection of words and concepts which are negated by the reality of the Black Sun-dominated universe. The inevitable extinction of life, the death of stars, the diffusion of galaxies, the disintegration of matter, and the return of this verse to the void from whence it came, all undermine the authority of any values, morals or laws of which we can conceive. Just as the black hole is divided by zero error in the equations of cosmology, the Black Sun is divided by zero error in the reasoning of the moral philosophers. Perhaps someone forgot to tell them energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. And as for the outdated black hole theory, it only consumes That is for the realms of science fiction. Like I said, the other side of a black hole, there is a white hole. Oops. And essentially what that signifies is the white hole is in another universe, another time-space, and so expansion continues. Essentially the material is entering a different time-space and also a frequency zone. They go on. Nor is the logic of theology any better, since no gods of light show themselves, nor answer our pleas for guidance. They were there, but your vision was so poor due to being blinded by your own delusion and control freak behaviour and festering malignancy within you. We regrouped and fought back, and now your time is very short. Therefore we deny all false man-made gods and dub whatever negative transcendent principle remains the black sun. Such Bosmic nihilism is in our view the freest of all philosophies and the most tenable position to take in a universe such as this one. Maxim 3. Power. The power freaks. You seek domain and power, not because you are strong, but because you are collectively weak. Only the weak control others. People of inner strength would not do that. Oops. Black Sunnites could be described as power worshippers or fascists. We believe that we live in a Darwinian universe. Fascists and all other ists and isms and Darwinism are what they created for their weakness-based control system. They go on, in which might makes right. The strong dominate the weak and only the fittest survive. We believe that the strongest individuals, tribes and empires will naturally prevail over weaker collectives, and this should be encouraged. We believe that every individual should strive for inner development and empowerment, and that every collective is measured by the personal power of its individuals. We understand that there is no cosmic reward for pursuing any ideal of justice, liberty or equality that denies the realities of the Bosmic Thrafl, black sunnish universe. We believe that all political ideologies not rooted in nihilistic black sun philosophy are arbitrary, transient delusions. Our politics is the politics of destruction of all false ideologies, hopes and creeds, and the elevation of will, vitality and power as the supreme political expressions of human nature in this hostile universe. In Bosmic ideology, the emphasis is on the will and imagination, not on reason, reality or morality, because only the former can fill the void of existence in a black sun-dominated cosmos. We seek to master and mould the universe to our liking according to our Bosmic inspiration, not according to the dictates of some false god of light or bogus moralism. Liberated and endarkened, each one of us is a potential emperor and conqueror of the world, who may attract legions of followers who wish to share in our conquests. Unlimited power, unlimited conquest, unlimited triumphs of the will. Let this be the credo of the black sunnite sorcerer and the anti-philosopher. Fairly staggering rhetoric that. with all the extra tools the dark has or had, no limitations on the rules the dark had. More dark energy than light energy, the fractal virus, trickery in the physical and non-physical realms, and the endless supply of demons to do their dirty work. And yet they still failed to break this version of man or the vessel. That must hurt. Well, I hope you like lemons, because you're going to be sucking lots of them, but then you're kind of used to being a bit bitter. The dark took the easy path. They took the lies and the seducements. They took away whole galaxies, solar system and planets. But just to remind you, you didn't take us. Our path may have been a long one for victory, but now that time has come. Hi all and welcome back. In this next portion, we're going to get into what they call the caste system that these dark forces operate under, called the 4 spiritual castes. Is it a coincidence or coincidence? If you type in caste system on the internet, you arrive with India, where this more modern day war originated. The answer is no. India was the ground zero for the modern way of light and dark. And that doesn't mean we have to denigrate all the Indian people either. All peoples and beings have been played as pawns in this insidious demonic dance of the dark. But I'm asking the people of India, like the Jewish people, to see through their religions and what passes off as culture as a grand lie and correct it. The Black Sunites divide human beings into 4 spiritual castes based on their inner trajectory and destiny as it relates to the Black Sun. Study and know these 4 castes well, as they are central to the Black Sunite ordering of society. The first is called the Shadow Blind, Kamud Wikithka. The first caste are the most mundane of white Sunites, who live their lives oblivious to the Black Sun's power and to its very existence. They orbit spiritually around the white sun, blissfully unaware or willfully ignorant that there is a shadow sun drawing all life towards it, destroying them and devouring the universe. These beings are called the Shadow Blind. In the Black Sunite hierarchy, the Shadow Blind are viewed with disdain, being little more than unawakened apes who lack all potential for Black Sunite work. Because they are so numerous, we don't generally bother them, referring to avoid their kind as a wise wolf avoids the main body of the elk herd. The wolf, the animal totem that they corrupted, and the elk herd, like the elk lodge. They avoid because they are weak and scared of our power, that's why. If that person, this Black Sunite, is so empowered, why can't they handle the frequency of those empowered? The shadow sun drawing all life towards it, destroying them and devouring the universe, is what they've just said. The harvesters, which we've referenced in a previous show. And I hope now you understand the mirror concept better now with their term shadow blind. The second caste, called passerby, are those who, due to some inner crisis or dark awakening, approach the black sun briefly at some point in their lives. They pass by the secret star like a spacecraft passing near a planet, feeling its pull with fascination but moving on, their trajectory only temporarily altered. These are the passers-by. A passerby might develop a morbid fascination with death, be tempted by the devil, adopt a gothic aesthetic, dabble in dark occultism, become a coffee shop nihilist or a doomer, join a militia or gang, or have suicidal or homicidal thoughts. These are common signs that the black sun has pulled them towards it and begun to exert its dark power upon their mind and soul. Because passerbys show some inclination to Borzumic ways, black sunnites may target them for recruitment into our society. Though they are usually only dabblers who soon return to the white sunnite ways, while they are in that phase, they can sometimes be recruited as black agents and made use of. In some cases, they can be guided deeper into the shadow, becoming dedicated votaries of the black sun. This would be better described as the mind-controlled seducement program, where they entice people in with fame and fortune, or wrap people into dark occultism via witchcraft on the premise that they're doing good. No witches are doing good. That is the illusion these dark forces gave you. No matter what your intentions are, it is the fishing technique where they reel you in and you don't see the hook until it's too late. Caste 3, orbiters, are those who are more profoundly attracted to the black sun, becoming drawn into a long-term orbit around it. We call these the Sekera castes. Orbiters are permanently transformed beings, for their proximity to the shadow sun means they constantly feel its pull and perceive its vril. Now, vril energy can be used for light or dark purposes. The vril energy is what powered the Vitmanas and Vitmara spacecraft we had here 110,000 years ago. The orbiters are the lay followers and lower level black sunnite initiates whose lives revolve around the black sun's power in some way. Orbiters are a rare breed, perhaps 1 in 100 or rarer. They can be found in many guises: artists, religious devotees, soul dyers, philosophers, politicians, criminals, businessmen, and terrorists. But they all have an inward dedication to a dark path and a dark power. It is the desire for power through being weak is what wraps these people into the sewer. Most in this caste aren't consciously aware that they are beholden to the black sun. They may use some other name for their source of allegiance, such as God, Satan, Allah, or death, the dark force in nature or power, or simply follow their source instinctively without giving it a name. To look for an orbiter, look for one who has a focused life, an inner strength, and a certain disturbing or sinister nature. The ability to spot just such beings takes experience and intuition. The more advanced you are in the caste hierarchy, the more easily you'll be able to spot them. This also works for us as well. on the frequency an individual puts out. Like attracts like. And we mentioned this recently about a certain other Facebook group, and some members expressed disbelief or disappointment. Certain people joined that hate group. No, it's not a surprise. Their masks wore off and they joined their level. And that is where those people are in their terms of development of the self. It is said that orbiters are not typically found among wild criminals, drug addicts and the dregs of society. In fact, they are often upstanding and successful citizens who keep their dark allegiances very private. A bit like politicians. Our challenge as Black Sunites is to locate such beings and recruit them into our order by awakening them to the true source and nature of their path. At the same time, we must groom our own orbiters in the form of black agents, acolytes, and the Black Knights of the Order. The Shadow Bound. The fourth caste are the rarest of beings who pass entirely into the Black Sun, immersing themselves in its shadow and leaving the white Sunite world behind forever. These are the Shadow Lords and the Black Emperors, who have made the Zambran Zath, lightless realm, their permanent abode and kingdom. We call those who have entered fully into the Shadow's embrace the Kamud Narkith, the Shadow Bound. And there you have it. They are telling you the value of shadow work. Those shadows that are not integrated are like beacons in their world. And it's something they can capture you by. And like Solomon did, testaments and covenants have the same meaning, to bind. They have something to bind or bound you by, and from that there is little to no chance of escape, as this next sentence states. The shadow-bound can be compared to denizens inside a black hole from which nothing escapes and no light is emitted. They are trapped spiritually within the horizon of the black sun, with no hope of rescue and no way to communicate with those outside the sphere of pure shadow. To study under a shadow lord, one must enter the black sun oneself, becoming just as trapped into the lightless realm in the process. Thus the quest for the shadow lordship is a one-way journey into the spiritual void or into the realm of the living dead. Essentially, those people or beings are trapped in the astral realm, and also those in the underworld, as mentioned with the Nagas in the show on Sunday. They go on. Few people will ever encounter a shadow-bound being. They are 1 in a million or more. At this stage of the order's development, we can count their number on the fingers of one hand, with digits to spare. I wonder why. We have met many in our battles, and they all reside at what they thought was the top of the tree. They were wrong about that also. It seems that precious few have the commitment, the dark gift and the independent spirit necessary to complete the Black Sun path and reach shadow lordship in this age. No, it's only the few because the light fought back and decimated their numbers is why. And too few are believing their bullshit anymore. But those who do will join the ruling caste of the Black Sun Order, to whom all other castes defer. The same as the Draco-Reptilian hierarchy and the caste system all in one sentence. Our highest task as an order is to groom select beings to become future Shadow Lords themselves, thus ensuring the continued survival and power of our brotherhood. Shadowbound, to bind, like the term covenant, testament, and religier, which translates into religion, which means to bind. The next part brings in the Chinese, Japanese and Tibetan monks elements of the order, called the Legends of the Black Sun Scroll. This was published in Black Ninja Handbook, a manual for Black Sunites who choose to walk the ninja or shadow warrior path under the Black Sun. In modern times, many important historical ninjutsu scrolls have come out of the shadows of private family collections and have been made available to scholars or published in book form for the first time. But there is one scroll that has yet to surface, though it still exists as a dim legend and a dark vision in the minds of the few who have heard of it. We speak of the legend of the Black Sun Scroll, a document which describes the darkest arts of black ninjutsu, much as the Shoninki and the Benshin-Chuki describes the ways of white ninjutsu. The Black Sun Scroll is said to contain the secret lore of a ninja clan that originated as an Akuto, A-K-U-T-O, one of the evil band of thieves and bandits who terrorized ancient Japan. This is likely the origin of the modern group now known as the Yakuza. The meaning of the word Yakuza is the extreme path. It is said that some 600 years ago this band came under the influence of a mad Buddhist monk named Kanu, an adept of the Mikyo sect who had also trained with the Yamabushi mountain mystics, and the fanatical Sohei sect of warrior monks. And you all thought the monks of Tibet or elsewhere were about peace and harmony. That's another illusion smashed. Kano was obsessed with a vision of Kuru no Hai, the Black Sun, which he alone was apparently capable of perceiving. By his perception of the dark energies emanating from this invisible sun, the monk believed he had been given magical powers and prophetic abilities, but most people just thought he was mad. Yeah, they were right. Expelled from the orthodox Buddhist orders for his erratic nature, Kanu wandered the wilds of Japan. Oh, another one on the Exodus. A desperate man who resorted to begging and petty criminality to survive. That was when he came in contact with a band of thieves and mercenaries who, equally outcast and despised by conventional society, took him as their spiritual leader. Together this unlikely band evolved into a bizarre cult, led by an inspired madman who gave them an ideology that elevated their activities above common criminality and mercenary terrorism to an apocalyptic holy war. For Kanu saw the cult's activity in cosmic terms. He taught the white sun of the present age was dying. A black sun would soon rise that would cast the world into war and darkness, and the chaos cult spread was the will of the Dark Tao. In time, the cult settled down in a remote mountain village in Koka province and there they constructed a temple known as Koron Oji, Black Sun Temple, where Kanu conducted services for the cultists. Yet again, another reference of all evil practices being ran out of a temple, like Solomon and Herod. And yet again, notice more of the names all beginning with the letter K again. Kanu began to record the cult's lore and his prophetic and magical insights in secret scrolls, magic spelt with a K again instead of a C, or with both, is a common practice of these dark occultists. Thus was born the Black Sun Scroll of Legend. By this time the cult had become a skilled band of mercenaries who conducted night raids, arson, theft and assassination for any warlord who would hire them. Thus they became one of the earliest and most notorious clans of Shinobi no Mono, stealers in ninja. Now, a ninja is a person trained in ancient Japanese martial arts and employed especially for espionage and assassinations, so in essence a mercenary group, hence Yakuza. After years of this way of life, the Black Sun clan, as they became known, made many powerful enemies and were eventually targeted for destruction. It seems that their decisive offence was propagating their heretical religion, which Kanu was now calling the Black Sun Zen, Black Shinto or Dark Taoism. This religion then produced a breed of apocalyptic religious terrorists, shinobi, that terrified even the most powerful warlords who employed them. Finally, with the prodding of several religious authorities, a powerful Koka daimyo decided that the time had come to wipe out the Black Sun clan and end their fanatical cult forever. Soon a large force of samurai descended upon the clan's village, joined by an army of Sohai fighting monks, who saw it as their religious duty to wipe out the heretical evildoers. This is eerily reminiscent of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, of how the West gave them weapons and funds to fight Iran and Russia. Then they decided these people have gone too far now and we must eliminate them. They play both sides. Thus, according to the legend, Kuru no Hai temple and village were burned down by daimyo's men and all its members were put to the sword. The evil scrolls which the temple was said to contain also went up in flames, and with them some of the darkest flights of the human imagination and blackest magic ever conceived. The ancient books burned by fire. Now, I'm sure we've heard that before, repeated many times throughout their story. A common theme, but history and time proves that to be a lie time and time again. Then the legend also states that Kanu's scrolls weren't all destroyed on that violent and fiery night. The most sacred of the scrolls, Kuru no Hai no Makai, the Black Sun Scroll, was stolen out of the village by the clan's swiftest ninja and taken to a place of safekeeping. And there you have it. Like the books of Alexandra, like the Reichstag fire, etc., etc., etc. It's all moved. Likely in the Vatican. The final prophecy of Kanu, it is said, was that the Black Sun Scroll would one day be rediscovered, its revelations proven true, and the cult of the Shinobi no Kuro no Hai, the Black Sun's ninjas, born anew. Whether any of this is true we cannot say, since the fate of the scroll is still unknown. However, we will note that shortly after the destruction of the temple, Japan was plunged into its Sengoku, or Warring States period, a dark age of war and chaos that lasted more than a century. Thus, in that respect, Kanu was prophetic, though it remains to be seen whether the Black Sun Scroll will resurface and its cult of Black Sun ninjas will live again. All those dark powers and magic, and yet you can't find your own book after a few hundred years. Oops. Again, not very powerful, are you? Whilst you were searching for hidden books, the light has found and studied many ancient books in that time, and read by the ones who attained higher soul development. This is their song. Hi all, and now we're going to start connecting some dots. That was essentially their manifesto. There is other bits to it. This goes into the deeper details of who's who and who are playing the games. So, having shown their takeover of India, China, Japan and other parts of Asia, we're now going to turn to the Middle East to find their dark forces, and the first one is called the Black Sufis. The Black Sufis are an order of dark mystics said to have its origins in pre-sand Egypt. So that was before the fast destroyer weapon was used by these dark forces. There is evidence to suggest that the Black Sufis have been covertly manipulating events in the Middle East for millennia. Abdul al-Hazred is said to have been a high-ranking Black Sufi before he went mad and revealed some of the cult secrets by publishing Kitab al-Azif, aka Necronomicon. So, according to these people, seeing the light is called going mad by these people. Yet again, it's all about inversion and the mirror again. Another suspected Black Sufi was the 14th dynasty Egyptian high priest Nephron Ka, who formed the Brotherhood of the Black Pharaoh as a cult dedicated to Nyarlathotep. We're back to Egypt again and the cult of Ra. In modern times, there is also speculation that the rise of Nazism was influenced by the Black Sufis. Oh my. Remember from Russia with Love 3 or 4, where I asked were the Germans duped? Perhaps this piece will give you more confirmation or not of that. This came via Baron Rudolf von Sebottendorf, who studied Sufism extensively in Turkey before World War I. Rudolf von Sebottendorf was the alias of Adam Alfred Rudolf Glauer, who occasionally used another alias, Erwin Torre. It's those name change people again that's all so familiar. Glauer was deeply influenced by Sufi mysticism, other Eastern philosophies, and in particular the writings of Madame Blavatsky. From Russia with Love 4, we covered her. And he used Blavatsky's The Secret Doctrine to launch his own recreation of ancient Germanic myth. You see, Blavatsky, another name, like I said, that came up earlier in the series, who played a part in creating the New Age bullshit program. See how it all connects. After the war, Sebottendorf, who founded the occult Thule Society, as well as the German Workers' Party, that Thule Society was another inversion they made, like with the Vril, which was soon renamed the National Socialist German Workers' Party. Same as the Democrat. Same as Antifa. Members of the Thule Society included Rudolf Hess. Did you know that Hess wasn't even born in Germany? Ironically or not, he was born in Alexandria, Egypt. Back to them again. And oddly enough, Sebottendorf worked in Egypt. Oh, the coincidences again. It's a bit like From Russia with Love 7 and the OSS recruitment, is it not? How they all just magically met in various towns and countries all over the world. Other that were involved in the Thule was Dietrich Eckart. I wonder if that's related to NASA. And the Alfred Rosenberg, who has Jewish ancestry, were the other two protagonists. And the Thule agents infiltrated armed formations of the Communist Party in Munich and plotted to destroy the party, hatching plans to kidnap the party's leader, Kurt Eisner. I wonder if he's related to Michael Eisner of Disney fame, who was another of the Born In and Born To brigade, and then launching an attack against Munich's communist government on April the 30th, 1919. But remember, the Communist Party were the same Zionist dark forces that destroyed Russia around the same time. And what this was a hostile takeover of both Russia and Germany. Not done by Russians, not done by Germans. Now imagine today if Donald Trump attacked the Communist Party in America. He would be cast as an American hero, would he not? Courtesy of the mainstream media narrative. And significantly, Adolf Hitler was not a member of the Thule Society. Oops. He was also not a member of the original SS either, as we covered in part 3 or part 4. So here's another dot connector that ties this all in. You see, Rudolf von Sebottendorf was a Freemason, but more interestingly, he was a Sufi of the Bektashi order after his conversion to Islam. Now this piece, like I said, it adds more to my theory that Hitler was not in the inner circle or the driver of the so-called Nazi group, and was added into this group of dark forces, possibly unaware of what he got himself into. Over time, that will reveal itself. The same could apply to Chris Cornell doing the song Black Hole Sun. They get contracts and record deals and all this if you join the order. Then when you decide that you're not going to be part of that anymore, they take you out. A Western religious scholar specializing in esoteric Sufi sects has recently uncovered evidence suggesting that Islam was manufactured by the Black Sufis as a front for an abysmal cosmic religion. Oops. Islam, like Israel, is ISIS. Lam means to make an escape or go into hiding. Is it possible Islam just means ISIS went into hiding? Given all that's going on in the Middle East now, that has a whole different connotation to it. He believes that the Kaaba, K again, stone is really a fragment of a star stone that fell in the Arabian desert in prehistoric times and first brought the knowledge of the outer gods to earth. What were we saying on Sunday about the houses came to earth? Legend has it that a humble Arab shepherd saw the Kaaba stone fall from space while tending his camels in a remote corner of Rub al-Khali, the empty quarter. Drawn irresistibly to the meteorite, the shepherd dragged his stubborn herd across a wadi and came upon the starstone still shimmering with the heat of impact. The shepherd became a changed man after his encounter with the strange stone, it is said. His family and friends began to fear him as a powerful black magician who seemed able to know their thoughts and control their minds, have terrifying knowledge of the cosmos, and foresee strange future events beyond their imagining. A bit like the Looking Glass. So the Kaaba stone, like I said, something else beginning with a K that is connected to the dark forces. Now what I do know is this stone is from the Sirius star group, as I understand it, and is the cornerstone of the Mecca. This does not bring enlightenment, but is loosing the energy of the Muslims who attend or pray to it. It's energy harvesting on a massive scale. Now the Mecca is at the centre of a bowl-shaped arena. The followers, when close to the Mecca, are asked to go in a counterclockwise swirling pattern. This creates the vortex or portal to harness their energy. Now below the Mecca was also the Ark of Gabriel until recently. There are 7 arks in total. None are in control of the dark forces anymore. The term Mecca means a place to which many people are attracted to. Oh dear. This shepherd, a prehistoric Arab sorcerer unknown to the mundane world, would become the founder and prophet of a lineage of sorcerers that we would come to be called the Black Sufi Order. The greatest secret of the Black Sufis is their conviction that the god Allah is really an extra-dimensional entity whom the prophet Lovecraft called Azathoth, a formless, gibbering idiot god who reigns amidst the black spirals of uttermost chaos in a dark hyperdimension known as the Antiverse. Oops. Oh dear. Poor Allah. Also, it is known as the Demon Sultan, or the Primal Chaos. That word, primal, crops up again. I guess now we all have the evidence on that person in alt media who continually delivers that type of narrative. This has given the sect its heretical secret slogan, Azathoth Akbar. Azathoth is greater. The Black Sufis believe that cosmic conditions are coming right again to allow a greater intrusion of the outer God's power into our universe. They thought wrong. And they are therefore rousing Muslims into a worldwide apocalyptic frenzy in an effort to usher in the age of return and bring the whole planet under Zothic, with an X, theocratic rule. In fact, the Islamic revival of recent times was largely orchestrated by the Black Sufis via occult influence on organizations like the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslims who march to their tune are really marching themselves and all of mankind towards certain doom, it is said. Now, the head of Muslim Brotherhood is Barack Hussein Obama, which sounds eerily like Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden, all rolled into one giant piss take. And it's not a coincidence they chose that name. His real name is Barry Soetoro. And another example of the name change crew that's all too prevalent in this series. The next phase is Black Sun Jihad. Oh dear. Untold millions of years ago, a civilization in another galaxy went through a period of intellectual enlightenment much like our own, in which science and rationality triumphed over ancient traditions of religiosity and mysticism. But soon after this came the Endarkenment, a period of cultural disillusionment characterized by cosmicist artists, nihilist philosophers and mystics of the void. For them, the universe revealed by science turned out to be too strange, indifferent and doomed to be reconciled with notions of progress or cosmic benevolence. Thus was born the Black Sunnite movement, a quasi-religious cult founded by endarkened intellectuals who looked at reality unsentimentally and concluded that life, consciousness and the universe itself were abominations that should not even exist. Did or does anyone ask? Who made them source to decide what is valid or not? They concluded that life, consciousness and the universe in itself were abominations that shouldn't exist. Sheer arrogance. I'm reluctant to call them people, but their arrogance knows no bounds, it seems. Soon after this revelation, the Black Sunnites launched the Black Sun Jihad, the holy war to eradicate all life in the cosmos, by launching self-replicating planet-killing machines into space in all directions. The machines constructed a kind of Dyson sphere or shell around each star, blotting out its light long enough to freeze the solar system to death. In this way, the Black Sun Armada sterilized the entire home galaxy of life long ago and are approaching ours as we speak. Any day now, perhaps, their doomsday machines will arrive, and soon after our sun will go black and our planet will die forever. Wrong again. Their weapons of that nature are no longer in their hands and will not be returning to them either. The Star Maker and Star Breaker, the staff or rod of the Draco, which is referenced in the kangaroo skin story. They no longer have it. The next section reveals the philosophies and former plots and wars, and this is called the Dark Universe. In the beginning there was darkness, the Zambram Zath, lifeless realm, infinite, eternal, black, the Dar. Then came the light, finite, fleeting, blinding, the lie. Yes, it's blinding to them as they are weak and cannot handle the higher vibrational frequency of the light is why. And this is why everyone must work on themselves and light up their beacon. But the deeper reality of dark energy remained an echo of the primordial void, the vril of the primal black sun permeating and dominating the visible universe. Dark energy is what gives a Dark Lord his power. It is an energy field created by all matter in the void. It surrounds us and penetrates us and drives the galaxies apart. Now the key for the Light Brigade is to reverse that back into balance, using our own powers. Remember, black sunites. In each galaxy of this verse lies a vast black hole at the centre, a lightless nexus around which the stars orbit, a portal into the Dar dimension or Zambran Zath, and it is the destiny of our kind, the undarkened race, to build great civilizations and starships so that we may ascend to the stars, penetrate the galaxies and enter these black gateways to infinity. But they were able to do that in their own universe. There is countless of universes that are all dark. But through their own stupidity, decided to enter this universe as a power quest. Well, ultimately you failed, and you will face the consequences of such actions. They said, in this way our kind will escape the lies and limitations of a universe of light and enter the internal darkness of the Dar. This is truly immortality. This is the ultimate endarkenment. Dar sounds all too similar to Dart, the Kabbalah tree of death, or Dart as it's known. I know a lot of the New Age people again talking about the Kabbalah tree. It's the tree of death. Darth Vader. The light that birthed this universe was a fleeting whim, they say. The galaxies are growing dim. The darkness will forever more ascend. Yes, because you are all ass-ended masters of your own demise is why. The cosmos is going black. The stars are fleeing fast as they ride the dark flow into the infinite void. For them it is, not for us it's not. Dark energy is life, intelligence and will, the prime mover of matter. You and me, our origin and our final destiny. Zal Ashal Buruk, let there be darkness. The next chapter is called The Black Sun over Atlantis. And the Dark Lord Karzathor had been receiving visions of the ancient civilization known as Atlantis for several years, and he transcribed it in a private book called Transathic Sarudats, Atlantean Revelations. He has kept these visions to himself while he processes what he learned, but here for the first time he reveals a small fragment of this knowledge. As you will see, these revelations are key to understanding what motivates the Black Sun Order and their Black Temple projects. During the later years of Atlantean civilization, certain Vril-sensitive mystics and artists began to speak of a black sun rising over their lands and an apocalyptic future approaching. These mystics adopted the symbols of the black sun, such as those shown below, I posted it earlier, which they wear on their clothing, paint on their temples, and tattooed on their flesh. At first, this strange cult was ignored or laughed at by satisfied citizens of the Atlantean kingdom. After all, Atlantis had known prosperity, security, and glory for as long as anyone could remember, and was in no danger of falling into darkness. Initially, like the arrival of the Draco, it all went well, and then it headed south. Surely the Atlanteans had won favour of their gods, which they honoured dutifully in their temples to the white sun, moon, the stars, and the spirits of nature. However, fewer laughed at the Black Sunites when a series of misfortunes befell Atlantis not long after their appearance. Earthquakes, volcanoes, and tsunamis rocked the kingdom. Wars against outland barbarians went badly. Sea raiders harassed coastal towns with impunity. Distrust, fear, and hatred began to divide the people. Once noble leaders grew greedy and corrupt. Yes, by the same dark forces. They have done this over eons, every 13,000 years in particular. It seemed that a black sun had indeed risen over the lands of the white sun, and a golden age of civilization was drawing to a close. Amidst this chaos and unrest, the Black Sun cult began to rapidly gain influence, and its sinister black temples began to appear, first in remote regions like Angkor Wat, then in the cities as conditions grew more dire and the cult became more brazen. The cult soon developed into a more powerful religious order known as Bosum-Gazul, the Order of the Black Sun, in ancient Atlantean dialect of Borgal. So the Atlanteans were talking Borgal, which is the Order of the Black Sun's tongue. Oops. This led to a great schism in Atlantean civilization, as the old dominant religion of the white sun worship was now challenged by an insurgent apocalyptic sect of those who were said to walk under the black sun. The two opposing sects therefore became known as Malzamors, white Sunites, or Borzamors, black Sunites, respectively, and eventually the entire population of Atlantis would be split by this great religious divide. The white Atlanteans, being those who favoured the older white sun religion, with its creed of peace, progress, and benevolent cosmos that shone down its favours upon the people of Atlantis like the rays of the sun. The black Atlanteans, being those who sided with the newer Black Sun sect with its creed of conflict, conquest, and hostile cosmos that would destroy Atlantis and all things in the fires of the Black Sun. The White Atlanteans were guided by the Mulzum Gazul, White Sun Order, the priesthood who practiced what we would call today as white magic. That wasn't a good thing to practice. That was part of the fall. While the Black Atlanteans were guided by the Burzum Gazul, who practiced black magic. Burzum Gazul's power was centered in their black temples, which took many forms but were noted for their twin black obelisks, inscribed with letters of the Hazad script, and their black altars upon which black Templars made sacrificial offerings to their black sun. And there you have it. Temples, altars, sacrifice, and Templars. All the same cult. At the peak of its power, the Order built a vast pyramidal black stone temples. They built the pyramids, upon which their black-robed priests conducted sacrificial rites during eclipses and exhorted their congregations to success in battle. For the Order was by now firing up their followers' imaginations with visions of imperial greatness and preparing them spiritually for the great wars to come. The Order's ruling Shadow Council knew by then that war was necessary. First, to crush the White Sunites in the homeland and consolidate their theocratic power, then to expand the Atlantean kingdom across the seas and establish a greater Black Sun Empire. The key to it all would be evoking a great Vril storm, a nexus of Black Sun energy centered in the Black Temples, which would sweep away the old order and inspire the Atlanteans to untold heights of glory. Thus the stage was set for an apocalyptic showdown between the White Atlantean and Black Atlantean factions, which would decide the fate of the greatest civilization of the antediluvian world and echo down through the ages to our time. Next portion is called the Two-Sun Philosophy. The Dark Lords of the Order of the Black Sun hold a worldview they call Burzum Zovrad Two-Sun Philosophy, and according to this philosophy there are two primary metaphysical suns, the Black Sun, Burzum, and the White Sun, Malzum, which influence the human will and guide our destinies. The Black Sun is the source of the Bor-Vril, the dark energy that compels men to conquer, fear, hate, destroy, die, follow dark gods, and celebrate the darker aspects of existence. The White Sun is the source of Malvril, the light spoken in many religions associated with love, life, healing, peace, benevolent gods, and the sunny side of life. While the Dark Lords believe in the existence of both suns, they consider the Black Sun to be dominant in this verse, as shown by the fact that the stars evolve into black holes, all life dies, everything crumbles into dust, and the entire universe is going dark. Since Bor-Vril is stronger than Malvril in this life, they have chosen to cultivate it more than the weaker White Sun energy, and this is what makes them Dark Lords and not Light Lords. Light or Dark Lords, neither are good. The Dark Lords also speak of two temples associated with the two suns, the Black Sun Temple and the White Sun Temple. These are not physical temples, but abstract metaphysical places. The Black Lodge and the White Lodge, spoken in theosophical and occult circles, where the followers of the two suns are said to congregate. Lodge, meaning Freemasonry again. Religions throughout history have recognized the reality of the two-sun duality, that there are two metaphysical poles which influence the human will and indeed all things. Those poles are Rahu and Ketu. The Taoists call these poles yin and yang. The Zoroastrians name them Ahura Mazda, god of light, and Ahriman, god of darkness. Like I said, this is describing Rahu and Ketu, except both of them are dark. There is no yin and yang, there is no balance. Ahura Mazda, the god of light, it is said, but also known as the Lord. And Zoroaster is said to have had a vision at the Daitya river where he met the angel Vohumana. The entity asked Zoroaster who he was and what was the most important thing in his life, to which Zoroaster answered that he wanted most of all to be righteous, pure and wise. By this answer he was granted a vision of Ahura Mazda and his archangels. Oh dear, all very Moses that to me. From whom he learned the principles that would lead to the religion known as Zoroastrianism. Dear me. Ahura Mazda was worshipped among deities like Mithra. Oh dear, even worse. An older god turned archangel in Zoroastrianism. Mithras, the pagan Christ, was born on December the 25th. Yes, and there was 12 disciples, and they all ascended after 3 days. Yeah, right. So an angel came down, which led to the creation of the Zoroastrian religion. Remember, the creation of Mormonism was done by said angel coming down and giving Joseph Smith Egyptian plates. You know, religion, the only practice on the planet that can do or say the most bizarre conspiracy theories ever, and have only the few question the insanity of it all. Does anyone ever ask why these so-called gods don't come down from the sky now and create a new religion in this time epoch? Why is it always in the past? An angel came down and gave Smith Egyptian plates, and another one sends a Mithra and creates Zoroastrianism. Two religions, same story, just change the names around. It's unbelievable. The Manichaeans spoke of the world as a battleground of light and darkness, which is correct. The Christians call them God and the devil. Gnostics and Luciferians speak of the light bringer, another inverted term. Enemy of the dark demiurge who rules this world. The fictional Jedi and Sith have their light side and dark side of the Force, and so on. The Dark Lords also hold an aeonic world view, that there are metaphysical ages or aeons dominated by black sun consciousness and others ruled by the white sun, which is exactly the same as the night of the Sfarog and the day of the Sfarog. And that lasts a period of 1,000 years. Now, the day of the Sfarog started in 1996, of the light, not the dark, which is why the dark forces poured through the gate in the Congo and war raged there that year. The point is the dark are not content on sharing or balance of light and dark of anything, and set about to invert the light that which is presented as light but is actually dark, like New Age, witchcraft, etc., 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 religion. It's all corrupted. It's all been inverted. They believe the world is now entering a very dark black sun aeon, Borzum Odun. They believe wrong. But they also believe this process can be influenced by human will. Thus, when Black Templars conduct rituals invoking the black sun and do other deeds, they are hastening the dawn of the black sun aeon. It may have been black and white Templars or Freemasons at the beginning, but all relative to Freemasonry now is dark. All of it, whether members are aware of that or not. All of you are following the order of the black sun. Quit it. It should be noted that while the Dark Lords favour the Bovril of the black sun, they do not deny the power of the Malvril of the white sun. They just simply see the white sun as weaker, fleeting emanation within the all-encompassing primordial darkness. Well, if it was so weaker as they suggest, why do and have they attacked it so often? Invert it, cheat, deceive and lie. Why would you do that to a supposed weaker opponent? Why did he hide in the shadows if they're all so powerful? The answer is the light is not weaker but stronger. The path of the light is a more stronger and arduous path. Anyone can be dark. It's the easy path. As Lord Karzathor put it, the light that birthed this universe was a fleeting whim. The galaxies are grown dim. The darkness will forever more ascend. Ascend, more like it. Thus the Dark Lords built temples to the superior power of the black sun. All temples are dark-based, and I mean all. And internalize its darkness within themselves. This process is what they call the endarkenment. Next piece is surviving white sunnite regimes and how they go about it. So, on the one hand, they speak of the light being weak, and then talk about surviving light in another. Surviving the white sunnite. It's almost as contradictory as religions. It is said in every age there are outbreaks of white sunnite fanaticism that threaten to suffocate the world in clouds of delusion, sickness, moralism and white light tyranny. We have seen the cults of monotheism, rationalism, democratism, communism, progressivism and other creeds attempt to impose their tyrannies of good upon societies for centuries. This is their inverted diversion words at its finest. But it is they who created all those isms in the first place. Communism, that's them. Democratism, that's them. One God, that's them. Not the real God, which is Source. It is inconceivable that a new form of white sunnism could soon emerge that incorporates new technologies of propaganda and control to create Orwell's proverbial boot stamping on the human face forever. These people using words like propaganda, which is pro-pagan da, and that is another one of their subsidiary disciples that the clowns created, the CIA. That's where the term propaganda came from. Pro-pagan da. Pro-pagan skin is what that means. Even if this does not occur, we know that the tenets of black sunism are simply too harsh and disturbing for most societies to tolerate for long. Eventually, history shows that the elites and or the masses are going to turn on our kind and make us into scapegoats, rather than face their own shadows and admit the dark truths of bosom done. There they go again, using their own created hidden meanings like the word scapegoat, which is a Hebrew ritual sacrifice term. Unbelievable. What is the Order's strategy to survive under white Sunnite regimes? Subvert their control systems and thwart their priesthoods. There they go again, yet again. The priesthoods are their own people. The Cohens and the Khans both means priest class. And it said, here are several strategies we will employ. Black agents. The Order maintains a network of informants, operatives and recruiters who are non-initiates but are sympathizers with our cause. These are the black agents, or the Borfaz Athak. Under white Sunnite regimes, they can reduce our risk of exposure and extend our reach by acting as extra eyes, ears and the hands of the Order without being directly connected to us. It's a bit like Five Eyes, isn't it? Well, it's exactly that. A black agent may act as a courier, transmitting messages between black Sunnites when direct communication is too risky. He might keep an eye out for hostile parties, tip us off to potential recruits, acquire necessary materials, spread rumours, create diversions, etc. He may do this work voluntarily or as a paid mercenary, as the case may be. For those of you who listen closely to From Russia with Love 7, I've just described Langley. Oops. One of the important skills of the black Sunnite adept is the ability to recruit black agents wherever one goes, in such a way that one reveals little about one's own involvement with the Order. The black Sunnite must learn to recognize individuals who are shadow-minded, disgruntled, corruptible, or otherwise inclined to Borzumic ways. He may appeal to whatever meme or ideology is most appropriate for the situation. For example, if the target shows signs of being an occultist, present yourself as a learned black magician. If he is inclined to criminality, adopt the persona of a powerful gangster. If he is politically extreme, make it known that you represent a radical political faction. Here again, the skills of persuasion and manipulation, along with espionage and security, are vital to the black Sunnite initiate and are taught from the outset. So having presented themselves as strong and we are weak, they sneak around using stealth tactics and subversion, with secret handshakes and code words. But does anybody ask, why would you have to go to those lengths if you are the supposed stronger group? Clearly, they were not. Only the weak wish to control others, basically out of fear. Fear, as the dark know all too well, is a weakness to be played on. If they are as strong as they say, why do they have a whole manifesto of how to disempower, corrupt or destroy people, as this next section shows? New Age people will not like this next section after this music break.
Woe to you, O earth and sea, for the devil sends the beast with wrath, because he knows the time is short. Let him who hath understanding reckon the number of the beast, for it is a human number. Its number is 666.
Perhaps that song has a different meaning now as well. This next section, which is pretty much the final section before the summing up, lays out their path to inner destruction. And it mirrors a lot of what I've said in previous shows, including some items that people didn't believe what I was saying. As the saying goes, oops. The path of the inner destruction. Psychologically, the Black Sun path is largely a process of cutting away the conditioning and propaganda that accumulates in the minds of every civilized person from birth, of deconstructing the disempowering memes that have been implanted in your mind by a culture that has a different agenda from our own, of immunizing yourself against the lies of a white Sunnite society that would enslave your will and reduce you to a sleeper and a slave. There's those inverted words again, sleeper and slave. They created it. This is called the path of inner destruction. And here are 6 tools the Dark Lords have found most useful on their paths of inner destruction and made central to the Black Sunnite praxis. Verse 1. Void meditation is used by Black Sunnites to awaken the Black Sun perception and the shadow mind. It is similar to the Zen Buddhist practice of Zazen, which is said to be the technique that led to Buddha's awakening, thus proving that the Buddha practice went dark. Their words, not mine. The awakening of Buddha to the dark shadow, the Black Sun. In Dar Tazhar, one simply quiets the mind and follows the breath. In an effort to experience pure void awareness, thoughts and perceptions are allowed to come and go without dwelling upon them. Attention is always returned inward to the breath. In our praxis, we may perform this meditation in the classic seated lotus, half lotus or cross-legged position, like the snake. Or it may be done while walking, running, performing martial arts or any other simple activity. Like I said in the last show, you don't have to sit down with meditation music in the snake position to be able to meditate. You can do it with your eyes open once you've learned the method. The Dark Lords find void meditation to be of great benefit in separating their beings from their thoughts, senses, habits and personalities, giving them enhanced awareness of and control over them. Void meditation deconditions the mind, allowing you to tune out the inner chatter of thoughts and urges that are constantly battling for your conscious attention. That's your higher self telling you you're not going right. So what they're doing is shutting it out. No. Void meditation gives you a foundation in unconditioned awareness to realize that you are not your own thoughts and your thoughts are not you. Actually, they are for the light. It's only the dark who have been manipulated by walk-in possessions who hear others' voices. A common theme of these forces, walk-ins. It also clarifies perceptions and disciplines the mind, which is beneficial when engaging in focused thought or activity of any kind. At a metaphysical level, void meditation can peel away the illusory and fleeting perceptions of the white sunlit material world, revealing the fact that one is immersed in the deeper void of the Da, the primordial black sun. For all these reasons, Da Tazar is the basic practice of all disciples of the Black Sun path and should be performed daily, which is exactly what the Tibetan, Hindu, Buddhist, Teo and Jainism do. Throw in the Muslim world and they pray up to 7 times a day, and it becomes one whole loosh fest. Phase 2 of the path to inner destruction. Psychedelic drugs. I can just hear the collective gulps now. Are the most dangerous candy you can take, because they decondition you from your culture's values and cause you to start questioning the rules of the game. Under strong psychedelics, your entire subjective reality changes and you begin to ask which is real, the psychedelic state or the sober one. Your normal thought patterns are disrupted, your doors of perception are opened, and your mind becomes more susceptible to deprogramming and reprogramming. But don't worry, psychedelics won't turn you into some insipid preacher of peace and love if that is not your nature. In fact, psychedelics may be the fastest route to discovering your dark inner nature. Oops. The Dark Lords know of no more powerful deconditioning experience than psychedelic drugs, but they caution against using them recklessly or recreationally. The proper use of these substances is the way they have been used for millennia throughout the world, by a special class of shamans and priests, who take them under the guidance of masters as a means of initiation and mystical awakening to the mysteries of existence which lie beyond the bounds of culture-bound reality. Shamans and the priest class giving out dark enhancing drugs. Something else that was stated in our show that some didn't like to hear. Well, there is your evidence from the horse's mouth, as it were. This is how we use them in our order. Disciples on the path to Dark Lordship may be expected to take psychedelic during special rituals as part of their initiation into the mysteries of the Black Sun and the Dark Universe. The third stage is called nature immersion, a straightforward method of deconstructing your cultural programming and experiencing the raw power of the Dark Tao is to step outside the world of human culture and immerse yourself in nature. In Bogal, this practice is called Zuma Gyadazat, nature immersion. Backpacking trips into the mountains are favoured by the Dark Lords. What did I warn about earlier this year? But longer stays are even more powerful if you have the necessary survival skills. Yes, the mountains are where the dark reside in the underworld. In nature, one becomes attuned to natural rhythms and energies which are difficult to convey to those who spend their entire lives in the artificial world of culture, jobs, laws, technology and mass media. When you find the domesticated ways of white Sunite civilization sapping your power or deranging your mind, there is no better way to revitalize yourself than to step into the wilderness and tap into the raw vril of billions of untamed beings engaged in the struggle for life and death. Perhaps with this piece it confirms of my warnings surrounding grounding. You decide. They have, or had in some cases, vril machines that have been corrupting the soil from below. Some of them have recently been taken out. Step 4 is called memetics, is the science of infectious ideas, symbols and behaviours called memes. When you plant a mind virus or thought bomb in someone's head that drives them mad or alters their behaviour, you are practicing memetics. Oh dear, it's the bloody cat memes again that are everywhere. It's a mind virus. I did warn you. Every Dark Lord is a memomancer who uses memes to transform himself, other people and entire societies. When you begin to think of your thoughts as infections which use minds as carriers and have a life of their own, including a desire to grow and reproduce, you develop an objectivity towards them that is most empowering. Combined with the other tools of inner destruction discussed here, memetics becomes a tool for re-engineering your entire personality and also the personality of others. That's why it's called a mind virus. Note that memetics includes much of what is traditionally called magic or sorcery, which are mostly techniques of psychological manipulation via memes. Perhaps now my favourite meme GIF will become a bit more popular after that piece. Oh dear. I can hear some people going at the moment. Yes, you. You know who you are. The cat mind virus meme. Oh dear. Cult of Ra. Tool 5 on the path of inner destruction of the Black Order of the Black Sun is logic. Consists of the laws of thought. In Borgal we call it Kurzat Kum, thought law. Black Sunites may be driven by irrationality, intuition, passion or a type of faith, but we must also acknowledge the tremendous power of logical thought. When you must think consciously, you should use logic to avoid false conclusions, make good decisions and think clearly. There is an expression, that which can be destroyed by the truth should be. And logic is a most powerful tool for destroying untruths. This is a common technique that is used by the alt media agency-based personalities, where they use a portion of the truth and then surround it with bullshittery using logic and mind-melding memes and tactics. The blade of logic cuts through much of the cruft of subjective existence, getting one closer to the dark truths about nature of reality that no Borzumic can afford to deny. As stated in the last show, logic is based on assumption. Assumption is not fact or truth. It's just this. Logic is assumption. The final of their 6 is conflict, no surprise. Is the means by which the Black Sunite adept tests what he has learned, discards failed ideas and keeps himself from becoming complacent or falling asleep in a White Sunite environment. Conflict is a reflection of natural order, in which all life struggles endlessly for supremacy and thereby renews itself and grows stronger. Yes, the repeating loop program again. We fight because it's how we prove the power of our philosophy, our passion and our path. We fight to test every idea on the field of battle rather than accepting it at face value. Black Sunites are not glorifiers of peace like the followers of the White Sunite creeds. We understand that war has a vital place in the scheme of things and can be a most potent means of awakening latent abilities and spiritual power within oneself. Together, the above 6 tools can be used to deconstruct any idea, dispel any delusion, immunize against any mimetic virus, optimize one's mental functioning, and maximize one's inner power. Use void meditation to become aware of your memes, then use logic to decide which memes are beneficial, symbionts, and which are harmful, parasites or viruses. Use psychedelics to blow the doors of perception wide open and put yourself in touch with larger mythic streams of consciousness. Immerse yourself in nature to connect to the raw life energy and the dark Tao of evolution. Use memetics as a way to think objectively about your own mental ecosystem and cultural programming. Use logic to decide which memes to implant, which to retain and which to reject. Use conflict as the final test to determine which memes are fit enough to survive and which must die. Be warned, however, deconditioning using these tools of inner destruction is a risky business. One not only risks one's own sanity, but one may begin to find conditioned existence within White Sunite society difficult to bear and start looking for a way out. This can mean becoming a hermit, a radical, a madman or a suicide, or some combination of these, but it can also mean becoming a prophet, a visionary, a man of power and an awakened being. So for Black Sunite would be Dark Lords. The risks are necessary. The choice whether or not to take these red pills and see how deep the rabbit hole goes, or take the blue pills of conditioned existence and go back to sleep, is of course yours. There they go again with their inverted words and programs again of conflict and illusion of choice. Blue or red pill. The red pill being LSD, psychedelics, MK Ultra. And they have already told you of the path of psychedelics and is a path to darkness. LSD is the drug of choice for the MK Ultra program also. The answer to the question of red or blue pill is neither. That then becomes your choice, not the selections they gave you. Final piece of their manifesto: preservation. The first task of the Order under a White Sunite regime is to ensure its continuity. This means continuing to recruit initiates, train acolytes and appoint Black Knights, Shadow Lords and Black Emperors. It means the Shadow Council will continue to meet and make decrees, even if there are only a few members in a given era. It means adding to the Order's law and passing it down to the next in the chain of transmission. It means teaching initiates the Black Tongue and speaking it amongst ourselves. It means conducting the rites at Black temples and training at Black sanctums. The Order can continue to do all these things under even the most hostile White Sunnite regime, but we must be extra clever and discreet. If totalitarian technology is used to try to root us out and shut us down, we will harness our own technologies, hack the hostile systems, or return to the time-tested methods of the more primitive ages. This is what they've done previously. The rock throwers via meteorites or the flood generators suspected by Rahu and Ketu. If mobs are mobilized against us, we will mobilize our own counter-mobs or move out of the way. If pro-pagan Da is used to demonize us, we will demonize the demonizers and deconstruct their pro-pagan Da. If temples are attacked, we will defend them and build new, better, hidden ones. If all else fails, we will simply disappear into the shadows using the methods of stealth at which we excel, where we will wait and work until the age changes and the environment becomes more hospitable to our kind. Black Sunnites are patient, because we are an order that thinks and operates across centuries and ages. The key is in every age is to preserve our lineage, transmit our knowledge, train our wills, accumulate drill, and stay firm in our belief according to our way. If we do this, there is nothing the White Sunnites can throw at us can ever defeat us. Right, the final part of tonight's show. Let's just go through the names again. Virtually all famous people, and I mean all, are wrapped into this cult. That's how they achieve fame and wealth. It's selling the soul, literally. Ra, Kali Ma, Lilith, Rahu, Ketu, Hinduism, Buddhism, Tibet and the Dalai Lama, Mithras, Communism, Socialism, Kabbalism, Zionist, Democrat, Capitalist. Koshis, Kosher, Sufis, Jihadists, Egyptology, Muslim Brotherhood, Pharaohs, Lords, Reptilians, Draco, Serpents. CIA, P2 Lodge, Five Eyes, the KGB, Mossad, GCHQ, known as the Gatekeepers. OSS, SS, Solomon, Melchizedek, Jewish, Hebrew, Houses of Europe, Greece, Rome, Catholic Church, Mormons, Amish, Yahweh, Cabal, Illuminati, Bloodline Families, Sisterhood of the Rose, known as the Rosicrucians, the Scarlet Sisterhood. We may cover that in C. The Order, Dragon Groups, Zedo Masons, Freemasons, the Scottish Rite, Paganism, Wiccan, World Government, Luciferians, Satanists, worshippers of Set, the Vril, Fuel Society, or SSP, SS being the operative word. The gist of it is, despite all that structure and control, they thought wrong on many levels this time period. Their arrogance, their symbolism, their codes and secret clubs, clans and lodges, this time got stripped bare and thrust into the light. They cannot withstand the light on equal terms, and why they use stealth, deviousness and underhand tactics to fulfill their aims. Cowards is the correct term. These people, like the Draco, the parents, the covens, etc., have been lied to also. Their whole belief structure is more bollocks than religion or our own belief systems. They state they want death to everything, and then their fake gods who follow this cult spend aeons seeking out immortality elixirs. They're utter delusional. Their whole existence is about keeping everything hidden. Then they speak in forked tongue, pun intended, as they are the power of what? Hide and seek champions? If they're all so powerful, why are we still here after 2012? Despite your attempt at a timeline cheat through to 2016, why are we still here after that also? Your big event in 2017, the Great Rahu solar eclipse, again failed. The return of the Silver Lady, the Silver Trigger, I wonder whose website covers that, which crosses our paths again next month. She will not save you either. In fact, you are that lost in your own illusions now, you didn't even recognise her last time she passed. Failed again. You do Mercury, or is it mercurial? Fickle and volatile is kind of apt, is it not? You stagnated thinking you were all so far ahead of us, but you taught us well, and we learned quicker than you thought possible. Like I said, your arrogance supersedes, encompasses, and ultimately consumes you. Your dark cult that infected and inverted everything was signified in your hidden agenda song in the lyrics. Black hole sun, won't you come and wash away the rain? No, we came and washed away your reign, spelt R-E-I-G-N. Your gods and your malevolent ETs will not save you this time, despite your several and increased sacrificial rituals. They have, by and large, seen through your deceptions. The event horizon is in sight now. Will bring down the curtain of your darkness, and the light of the few will shine brighter than you can imagine. Our time has come. and theirs has ended. The winds of change are blowing through their valleys of the shadows of death. We will fear no evil. We will conquer evil, for you are with me. Your support and your courage, they comfort me and us. This has been the Truth, Honour and Integrity Show. My name's Thomas Williams. Bye for now.